Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today we'll be talking about the R3. I've done 15,000 shots on this camera now, so I thought it was about time that I talked to you through some of the good, some of the bad, and also just show you some of the imagery that I've taken with this camera. So what we're going to do first, go through a few of the images I've taken with an array of the lenses, everything from the 7200 all the way up to the 500mm with its 1.4 converter, and go through those first. Then I'll talk you through some of the good points, what I've really enjoyed with the camera, and some of the bad points, the things that I think on a camera that was priced rather quite high until the R1 was released, things that should be better really for a camera of that value. So we'll get into those photos first, then I'll talk you through what I found with the camera. Okay, so the first photo we're going to look at here was taken on the 200-400 with the 1.4 converter on there as well. Zoomed right in here. Cheetah with its pumpkin toy here it's going to play with, and I think there's some meat hidden inside of there. But you can see here, staring just off to my right, not directly at me, but I did have to use a spot focus to get a tracking on the eye, or help get tracking on the eye, because what the R3 does sometimes is spotted animals, and I'll talk about this a bit more in a minute, but it will think the spots are eyes due to the camouflage, so it'll get a little bit confused with the eye tracking. So what you have to do is use a spot focus on the eyes and then use eye tracking, and it will track the eyes, no problems at all. But you can see nice and sharp image here, nice blurred out background, but a really nice usable image. Next photo here we have is an ostrich posing very nicely, nice little portrait here. Eye focus is absolutely working spot on, no problems at all. Nice blurred out background, lovely detail there around the eyes, around the face, all the eyelashes, all the fur. Just a really nice portrait photo here. Next photo here is of a female dik-dik. Very shy animals, they very rarely stand still. So this one here, this is a very opportunistic moment of it looking back at me, and just before it ran off as it realised I was stood there. But focus on the eye, perfect. I shot this f4, so you've got a nice blurred out foreground and a background here, just framing the face and sort of showing you the detail of the face and drawing an eye over to the eye of the dik-dik there. So again, very nice photo. And the final photo here I've sort of included because it's a low light photo, fairly close through glass. This is crisping the leopard. Eye tracking worked absolutely fine on this because I was so close. This isn't cropped or anything like this. Is literally how close I was to leopard here at 200mm f4, tracked on there neatly and just super sharp. You've got his teeth there, really nice and detailed. You can see all the furs around his face there, his nose, just everything's nicely sharp where it needs to be. And then you've got a fade into different forms of blur into the background there, and just a very nice sharp image. So we've looked through some of the imagery there. You can see you can get what you'd expect, an incredibly good, crisp, nice photo from this camera. You should not be expecting anything less. This does not mean though this camera is not without its flaws. So you know, I've got those photos there. You still will miss occasionally. The camera's not perfect. It's not a guaranteed you're going to hit every single shot, and that's understandable. You wouldn't hit every single shot on a DSLR, so why would you not on this? The main thing I found though is I did expect ever so slightly better build quality from what was at the time their flagship model camera. I've only had this 6 months, 8 months, something like that. 15,000 shutters, and I already have quite significant wear on the top of the camera body itself, where the top dial is. Where when I change the dial, I tend to rub on the top of the camera itself, and I've started to wear off all the black on top of the camera itself. That's not something I've managed to do on the 1Ds when I've had those, and what I found is the dial itself sits a little bit closer to the body than it does on the 1Ds, which means that I am just basically rubbing against that there. And I say I've started to wear out the black paint. Not a big deal, but it is meant to be a top-end camera, and you wouldn't expect that. Number two, these covers that go on the top of this camera are absolutely useless. I lost the big rubber one within a month of having it when I was at a zoo. Now I've gone through now 2 of the smaller plastic ones that come on things like the R7 and the R10. I actually stole one from the R10 to put in here and use for a little bit. They lasted a little bit longer, but now they're both gone. I'm waiting to see how much the lockable one from the FAR 5 Mark II and the R1 is going to be. And I'm probably going to have to get one of those and put it on there, because you can get non-branded ones, but they don't fit quite as neatly for the little plastic ones, and this is meant to have the big rubber one on there. So that's slightly disappointing, considering it's a top-end camera and you've got this little bit of rubber that's meant to cover that port that can very easily, if you've got it on your side on the sling, that's just going to fall off without even noticing, as I've had it happen to me. But saying that, they're very small issues that you have with this camera. The battery life is absolutely incredible. If you shoot with the camera like I do, with the screen facing in, so this digital screen, I always have it facing inwards so it's not on all the time when I'm shooting, I can get out of a battery on this 4,000 shots. And obviously in various conditions, the higher the ISO, the higher the file size, the more battery you're going to use potentially, and the more you're sitting there tracking something, the more battery you can use. But on average, I can get 3,000 shutters out of a battery by doing this. If I have the screen out and have it sat like that, like it comes out the box and all the photos and everything are of it like this, I've reduced that down to about 2,000, so I get about half the shots that I can get with having it facing in like that. The eye tracking, I find that incredibly useful. I've used that quite a lot. So if I see something, if I'm focused on an animal and I see another animal coming out to the corner, I'll look at that, press the focus button, and it straight away focuses on it. The only animals you have trouble with that is animals that have spots, because in the wild, spots are meant to there to help camouflage the animal anyway and sort of break up its shape. The camera thinks the spots are eyes on tracking, so anything like a leopard, a jaguar, a cheetah, anything like that, the AF will focus on the spots rather than the eye, but that's because that's what the animal is designed to do. So with those, I have a basically a DSLR mode where it just says center focus, button programmed, and I just center focus on the eye, then press eye tracking, and then it finds the eye from there. It's a little bit longer winded, but you still get the eye tracking. You just have to go an arse about way around to get it, and that's not the camera's fault. As those animals are designed to be camouflaged, that's why they are how they are. Memory cards, I am still only using the SD card that I had for my R7. I just haven't had mainly the need and the want to buy the faster, more expensive card at the moment. I will at some point, because I do buffer out on that SD card, but then saying that, I shoot redundant usually anyway, so I'm still going to have that card in there, which means I'm still going to have the same shutter limit as I will have currently, because it doesn't matter how fast that big card is, it is limited by the speed of the smaller card. So that's pretty much my main reason why I haven't just gone out and got that yet, is because I'm still going to be limited to the same speed. It's just been nice to have that redundancy on there. Works absolutely fine with that card. You get on RAW, it's about 96 photos before the end of the buffer. It's very rare I hit that buffer. I'm shooting at the full 30 frames a second. Obviously that is limited down on some EF lenses like we've talked about before in other videos, but still, even if I was limited down to 20 frames a second, that's 5 seconds you're holding down the shutter for. That's quite a long time. So for me, no problems at all. I'm happy using that card. I will get another card at some point, but that's just more for my wanting to shoot redundant. Everything else though, the buttons, the camera feel itself, where everything is, just how it feels very rugged and it feels very well built, apart from just that exterior where you can rub that paint off. Such a shame, because it does feel like a really hard wearing hearty camera, and it probably is, because it's full magnesium, a body like the 1Ds are as well, but just that paint finish isn't as high quality as I'd hoped it'd be. But saying that, the overall thoughts on this camera is it's just worked very well, it's been very reliable, so I get a massive amount of battery life out of the camera, and it's the first time, even though I've tried to do it before, where I forced myself just to take a mirrorless camera out. So when I had the R6, I used to force myself to leave the 1D behind, just take the R6 out. This camera, I naturally just go for the R3. I don't have to force my brain to go, cool, let's take that mirrorless camera and get used to it. I just naturally pick up a lens. I always keep the adapters on the mirrorless lens cameras, so I can just pick them up straight on the lens and off I go. So that's my thoughts on the R3 after about 15,000 shutters. I've done just slightly over that now, but that's my overall thoughts on that. Let me know your thoughts if you have the R3 at home. Let me know your thoughts on the camera and how you're getting on with it. If you've got any tips on how to set the R3 up, let me know, because I'd love to try different settings stuff. I've got mine set up pretty much at the factory, apart from I've got, let's say, that more DSLR mode focusing programmed on one of my buttons on the back, just so in case I need to spot focus, I just do that straight away. But you let me know how you're getting on with your R3. Let me know what your cameras you have got. Maybe you didn't go for the R3 for a reason. Let me know why you didn't go for the R3. Obvious reasons usually cost, but if there's another reason, let me know down below. And by all means as well, if you want to link your photos, as I always say at the end of every video, it's always nice to see other people's photos. Put that link in the description and I will have a look at those as well, because it's always nice to see. But if you enjoyed the video, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Do whatever you need to do. But I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching as always. Goodbye.